Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to a player performance review segment for the 2019-20 season. We're running the rule over the individual performances for last season, and in this segment, we're reviewing the performance of Tom Davies, ever the interesting debate. Terry and Rob Astell join me for this, and we'll start with you, Rob. Davies always appears to be a divisive figure among the fan base. How do you think Davies has got on this season? Where do you stand?
I don't think he's had the best season, but I'm not going to pin the blame on him because I think his development's been massively hampered since he first, was it 2016, 2017 when he first came in on the scene. And he was, for me, he was playing, just behind the striker there, attacking midfielder, and then slowly but surely he's been shifted to. I think he played right wing for us at one point. I think he's played
right wing back under Ronald Koeman.
And
the new Barcelona manager.
Yeah, he's been shifted around these positions which aren't his natural position, and it's just hampered his development. And I think he's past the point of saving now, if I'm being honest with you. We've tried playing him in a 4-4-2. He's all right when he's got the ball and he's going forward, but he's doing the dirty. He's having to do the dirty work at the minute within this team, and he's not good enough to do that. I don't think he's got the best pace. I think everyone can see that. It's like he's running through sand, and he guaranteed a booking or a foul, isn't he?
Yeah, he gets booked like pretty much every game.
And I feel bad for him, but I just think his time's up for Everton now. To be honest with you, I think he's too far gone.
That's a real shame because he seems like, obviously, as a boyhood fan, and that he does strike me as someone who's far more committed to the Everton cause than some of the other players in his position in particular.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. He's certainly been better than Sigurdsson. He was better than Schneiderlin in terms of effort, anyway. At least. But he's just not been developed right for me. I thought he maybe could have done with a loan at maybe to a championship club, toughen over a little bit like Mason Holgate did. But unfortunately, we weren't in that position to let a midfielder go at that time. I'd sit me after them. You do get the effort from him, but is he good enough?
That is the issue. I think it's a quality thing. As he got the quality needed to be a top Premier League midfielder, and I think that's very much up for question at the moment. Terry, how do you think do you think there is a future for Tom Davies here, or is he sort of maybe let it slip this season?
I think this season's the season where the question about will Tom Davies make it at Everton's been answered. Like now he's at the point where he's played 100 games for the club. Now he reached that milestone this season, and Rob got it right as well. Like early on in his development, he was hampered a lot by the changing of managers, and it's still going on. It's only this season he's had the manager changing again, but now, especially since the resumption of games after the lockdown, he actually got that sort of elusive run in the team where he got a succession of like starts in the team, and it was put on, he was put front and centre, and he was told to stand up for himself. You got to make this count, and he failed. He doesn't.
He didn't hold his own at all, did he?
No, he doesn't. I mean, he certainly wasn't the only one, but and he certainly, I don't think, was played in his proper position. Like a lot of people go, what is his position? The only time I've ever seen him thrive at Everton was in that first 6 months after Schneiderlin arrived, when Schneiderlin was playing the holding role. Idrissa Gueye was playing, the mop-up role, and Davies wasn't so much playing number 10, but he was in a middle three, allowed to break forwards and go beyond the striker as the midfielder. That was where he excelled. But we don't play that system anymore, and even when we did play that system, we had other players in place of him who were doing the numbers.
Yeah.
So when you look at him in the games he's had this season, as Rob said, his efforts not been near the bottom of the squad, but his performances have been. He doesn't excel at anything. There's nothing he's good at or stands out at other than falling over. Like he draws fouls. Like he does draw fouls quite well. Like he'll carry the ball and he'll draw a foul from an opposition player. But that's all he's got. He doesn't progress the ball up the pitch. He doesn't tackle well. He doesn't create space. He doesn't do anything. And in a 4-4-2,
he can't be a passenger.
No, you need to, you need to nail down, your role in those two central places in the team. And there's times he was brought on off the bench and he went on the left sort of try and see the game out defensively, and he was woeful at that as well. I historically have been a big defender of Tom Davies. Like one of my first videos for the Toffee Blues, I came on with our Paul, and we had a big Barney over. He was a doubter for Tom Davies. This is 3 years ago, mind, and I was a defender. And I think the jury's in now. I lost. He was right. I think it's better for his career that he finds a new club and gets his career going there, because he's just not got the level required to take Everton further.
Do you think Everton could do something similar to what they did with Leon Osman's development? Leon Osman spent about 3 or 4 years out on loan before he came back and made it as a
That's a good point. That's a really good point, actually, Rob. Because Osman was 23.
I was a big advocate of Leon Osman. So maybe you look at what that move in the Championship did for Holgate. There's 6 months to a year in the Championship, at a club where he can excel, and he can work on parts of his game without pressure. Will that do him any good? And then he comes back and he can be coming as a squad player like Osman originally did. And then Osman was, for me, he was a starter under Moyes constantly, really. In the
Osman showed the consistency that Davies has never shown in his time so far, but maybe the loan could be the difference, because I don't think Osman was necessarily consistent before that. I don't think he really got in the team much until he come back from his loans.
I think and the difference between Osman and Davies is Davies has kind of been thrust into this team because it's all we had at one point. You know what I mean? We lost Andre Gomez, we lost JP Gabaman, we lost. We've lost new.
We never had Schneiderlin or Sigurdsson.
Exactly. We've never had them. They've disappeared. We lost Idrissa Gueye, and he's been thrust into this role, which isn't his position. Does he get a chance to go and redeem himself away from the club for a little bit, come back a better player, and then we use him properly? Is that an option, or is it too far gone now?
Well, I don't think it's too far gone. There's two schools of thought for me. On the one hand, obviously that could happen. You could never rule that out with any club, because I would have sat here a year ago and said Mason Holgate can't make it at Everton, and I'd have been wrong, because he starts to turn it around now. But the problem, I think, the benefit for Tom Davies is right now he'd struggle to find a position in this Carlo Ancelotti team. But if he sticks around, I hope not, but he could come back and Carlo Ancelotti's not the manager if he went on loan, because that's the way the club's been going for the last few years. We've changed managers regularly. We're hoping we don't this time, but there's no guarantee we won't. But what will work against them in that Osman sort of comparison is Osman was a lot more flexible in his positioning. Like, if you remember, Leon Osman was a right midfielder, an auxiliary right midfielder for the first couple of years he was in the team. Then he went to centre midfield, and he was probably never played in his proper position for the whole time he was at Everton. He was
a number 10. He was a number 10, really, but
in his own mind, a number 10. But he made, his first half of his career was on the right of the 5-man midfield, and then the second half of his career he was part of a double pivot with Darren Gibson or whoever it was, or Gareth Barry at times in a 4-2-3-1. Tom Davies, if he goes out on loan and performs and comes back, if we've still got Carlo Ancelotti, he can't play on the left of the four because he's not creative enough. We need that to be a proper, creative player. He's not going to suddenly come back and be creating chance after chance. He can't go on the right because that needs to be a progressive attacking player. That needs to be the third striker. He's not fast enough to do that. And he's not going to come back with 3 stone of extra muscle. So he can't go in the centre of midfield because he'll get bullied and knocked over. So there doesn't appear in this Everton team to be a suitable position for him, even if he was to go and play well. He'd have to come back and we'd have to have a different formation or a different manager where we're playing 5 midfielders again, or at least 3 centre midfielders where he might get a position where he thrives, because he's not like Osman who can slot in here and there and just make it work.
That's a good point, Ray. That's a really, really good point, actually. We've seen Tom Davies try it out on the right wing and the left wing, and it's never gone well. The one thing I will say is, though, there is the one sort of possibility is if he does go on a loan, as I think Rob said before, toughens him up a little bit. Could he come back and maybe have a centre midfield role if he does toughen up?
If he does, he needs that. I think he needs that player next to him who will do the dirty work for him. I think there's one thing. I think Terry's right there. There's one thing what Tom Davies is. He's not a tackler. I don't think he'll ever will be. I think he's more of a, he's a ball player, isn't he? At the end of the day,
He reminds me. It's a bit like Gravison, and if Gravison didn't have muscle.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a bad comparison.
Gravison was a walking yellow card every game.
Yeah. But he's got to. I think he's got to go somewhere where there's no pressure on him as well. He gets slaughtered week in, week out, and if he does go away, he's got to be played in a team. The loan's got to be right for him. It can't just be palm off to anyone.
It's got to be a team that uses a 4-4-2 system.
Yeah, it's got to be a developmental role for him where he knows he's going there as a starter, and he's not just there to fill some championship team's boots because they're short on players. It needs our scouting system and our Marcel Brands would need to make sure that move is perfect for him. It can't just be anyone.
He needs that John Joe Kenny to Schalke type loan, doesn't he? European side where he'll get more time on the ball to show what he can do and grow as a player. But they need a centre midfielder, so he will play. Schalke needs the right back when they got Kenny, so they knew he was going to play, and it's at a decent level. It's not I think Tom Davies, despite what people say, I think he's too good to play in the Championship. I think that time's gone. He's too old now. So you can't play 100 games in the Premier League then loan someone to the Championship, and I just don't see it happening. I just don't see the player going for that. I don't see the that being of any benefit.
To be fair though, Holgate had similar before he went to West Brom.
Did he have 100 appearances? I don't think he did.
Not 100 appearances, but he made his first appearance for Everton before Davies did.
Yeah, but the thing was as well with Holgate hadn't nailed down a position. It was like, what is he, a right back? Is he the right of a three? Is he good enough to play centre back? He sort of went out there and learned a little bit of his trade. Davies wouldn't be going to learn where he plays. He'd just be going to get game time away from the glare. So we're not expecting him to go out abroad, say, and play as a winger. We know he's going to play centre midfield wherever he goes. We know a lot more about Tom Davies than we did about Holgate. So I personally, I wouldn't be against him doing it, but I just don't see a Championship loan being what would work or what he'd go for, because he'd probably see himself as a Premier League player.
It's interesting though, but what does he and himself look at himself and think, now what does the future hold for me? Because he must be knowing now that his time sort of running out to make a breakthrough at Everton.
I think the club probably know that as well. I think the club would be aware of that, really.
Yeah, he's on low wages, so I can't see the club being in any rush to sell him. He's not like some of the hype wages players who aren't contributing at all, who they're desperate to get out. He could just be someone who that Dominic Calvert-Lewin tax, where you just like to keep your one of your two strikers who's doing the business for you happy. Just keep his mate around on a low wage, a little like Balassi was brought in to keep Lukaku happy. I think they could just
that was definitely the case. Now you look at it, though.
Yeah, 100%. At least he won't cost Davies won't cost the money that Balassi did. But I could see Davies being available to go, but I think of all the centre midfielders we've got,
he's probably the one they'd want to keep, actually, I'd say.
I think ability-wise, it'd probably be Gomez, but I think on a spreadsheet, on a pure numbers basis, I think they're all for sale, and Davies would be bottom of that list to sell, because he's probably on the least amount of wages. I don't know what they're on, but I'd put me life on he's been a lot less than like Delph or someone like that.
Definitely on less than Sigurdsson.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Sigurdsson. I mean, it's a good job I've already got the Sigurdsson review out the way, otherwise Terry would be frothing at the mouth again.
I just wish West Ham would come in for him, or someone like that, someone who will pay the wages for him, because he's just a waste.
Oh, please, Newcastle, please, Newcastle.
Yeah, someone like that, yeah. Just I that's why I wanted Swansea to come up, because I thought if they come up,
they'll buy him back.
They
what
might
about
take him back.
Leeds or someone maybe?
Nah, he's not good.
Oh no, Leeds are like workhorses. They're not going to buy a friggin'
exactly, yeah,
crab like him.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I mean, Tom Davies though has been linked to Newcastle. like earlier on this week. I'm not sure what you make of that.
Sounds like paper talk to me, but
it's exactly what it is, Rob. That's exactly what it is.
But what was it? 12 million? 12
million. I think I'll be honest. I think that's a pittance for the Premier League. Yeah.
No,
I think I'd bite the hand off for that for him.
I think that's the top end of what you can expect for him. To be honest, what's he done to justify any more than that?
Be English and play in the Premier League.
Oh, see, I already think that cost got the English tax on it. To be honest with you,
I really see do. That's weighted there, but now you've got COVID-19, which has just balanced it again. It doesn't work like the English tax has been wiped out by no one's in a stadium tax. So I think 12 million would be towards the top end of what you'd get for him. I think you're looking between 8 and 12. Personally,
yeah,
he hasn't done anything, has he? Like,
if you ask me, then we should definitely be hanging on to Tom Davies for another season, because if we could maybe get 15 or 20 for him next season and keep the player on the lower wages, like you say, it makes perfect sense.
If we were to buy that Matty Longstaff, who's just left from them, but say he was still there, if we were to buy them, how much would you say he's worth? Or Sean Longstaff? Either of the Longstaffs?
Yeah, about 10, 15 million.
They've done less than they've done about the same as Davies. Like, I know he's played more games, but he hasn't like scored goals, Davies, and like that. Sean Longstaff has played less games than Davies, but he's achieved about the same. So I'd say about 12 is about right. Like, but obviously last summer the inflation for Sean Longstaff when he was getting linked with Man United was about 30 million, and they just went, nah, no one's going to pay that. But I think now you'll see players, any peripheral players are going for a lot less. Just sold Snidland for about what,
3 million, something like that.
Cup of tea, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think for at least a year you're going to see the English tax evaporate.
Well, we've got to be a bit more clever then, and got to bring a few in of our own.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, you'd like it to still be, you'd like to be selling high, but I don't think we are. I think everyone's looking to buy low now. It's going to hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, we've just got to see what happens. But on the note of Tom Davies, we'll leave it at that. We'll give our scores out of 10. Rob, what would you give Tom Davies out of 10 for this season?
4.
4.
And the reason I'm giving a 4 is because at least the effort was there with him.
Is it like that? It's like that Bart Simpson gift. Like, at least you tried.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll go 4.
Terry, what about you, mate?
All the 4s, 44. I'd be the same. 4. Absolutely chronic, but he tries and his heart's in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to give him a 5, to be honest. I was, again, maybe I'm a bit more. I think I'm very much in the pro Tom Davies camp, even though my patience is wearing thin, and I'm happy to give him one more season to maybe prove something. But yeah, I'll give him a 5. I'll be a bit more positive. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. 4-4-5. It's like the amount of players we need on the pitch. That's the formation we need to play if we've got any chance of winning anything. Yeah, so there you have it, guys. Tom Davies gets a 4, a 4, and a 5 from the jury on this one. Let us know your opinions. Let us know your scores out of 10 for Tom Davies. Drop us a comment below. Give this vid a like and a subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel as well. And until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.